Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Study Various Majors in the United States series. My name is Hani, and today we will focus on study elementary education in the United States. I work as an education advisor in the Fulbright Commission in Prague, and today my special guest, Jessie, who is an English teaching assistant and a Fulbright grantee, will walk us through how does it feel to study elementary education major in the US. Welcome, Jessie, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone tuning in. My name is Jessie, and I studied elementary education in my undergraduate degree as well as my master's. So that is what I am going to be speaking more in depth about today for those of you who are interested in also pursuing the same profession and the same degree in college. So to begin with, a little background about me. I went to James Madison University, which is a school of about over 20,000 students in Harrisonburg, Virginia. The picture on the left is the main campus of my school to give you kind of a feeling of what a US institution looks like. And the photo to the right is Memorial Hall, which is where our College of Education is at JMU. That is a building I spent a lot of my time in because I was studying elementary education, both in my undergraduate degree and then for my one-year master's afterwards. I've included in the top right section a link to the College of Education page for my university in case anyone's interested in learning more about my specific program. So let's start with what is an elementary education major. So in the United States, our education system looks a little different. So we start with pre-K or pre-kindergarten at the age of 2 to 5. And that's your basic motor skills, play-based learning, starting to learn counting and basic skills like that. And then kindergarten through 5th grade is ages 5 through 10. And that's really the elementary school section of our education system. So that is compulsory in the US. It's required to begin going to school in kindergarten. And then our middle school is 6th grade through 8th grade. And that's when you start to specialize a little bit more in pre-algebra or biology. You start to learn kind of more specified subjects. So the elementary ed major is specifically that pre-K through typically 6th grade section. And it's a licensure program typically, which means once you finish your 4 years and you receive your elementary education major, you're usually licensed to teach in the specific state that you got your degree in. So for example, for me, I studied in Virginia. And so once I graduated from my program, I was licensed to teach in Virginia. And the elementary education major, regardless of what university you go to, you're going to be studying quite a few different disciplines and subjects, because when you teach young students, you're going to be teaching them a lot of different subjects. So I took classes within the humanities and social sciences. I took child developmental psychology and math courses as well. I also took courses on instructional strategies and pedagogy, psychology, and special education. So even if you don't go to my specific university, you can expect courses within these different disciplines. And it prepares educators to teach a wide variety of subjects to students with diverse needs and backgrounds. In the US, we have many different cultures and languages that we celebrate. And so it's really important to understand and learn about how to teach those different students. Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question about the license because you said that you studied in Virginia.
Yes.
So you are licensed to work or teach in Virginia. So
Mhm.
imagine a Czech student going to your university and like, can they study and then teach anywhere, or is it also
Mhm.
only in Virginia, or how does it work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there is reciprocity between different states,
Mhm,
meaning that my license will allow me to teach in other places,
mhm,
but I may have to take an extra test
mhm,
or an extra course
mhm,
to just kind of prove or show that I am qualified to teach. So in some states, it's easier to transfer my teaching licensure to. And
mhm,
then in other states, it's actually a bit of a process. And so
mhm,
it totally depends on the state you're hoping to move to,
mhm.
and each one is different.
That's very interesting, and it's very different from when you study an elementary education major in the Czech Republic. Because
Mm.
when you study here, you study for 5 years, you get your
Mhm.
master's straight away, and then
Mhm.
you go and you can teach at almost like any elementary school
Yeah.
in the Czech Republic. So this is something. And let me ask you, do you think that if Czech students go and receive their degree in Virginia, are
Mhm.
they then allowed to come to the Czech Republic and maybe like,
Mhm.
teach here, or you have never heard about that before?
Yeah, I don't know specifically what the Czech
Mhm,
requirements are for
mhm,
their elementary ed teachers.
mhm,
So I don't want to give the wrong
mhm,
information about
mhm,
that. But I do know that at least for me teaching here in the Czech Republic through the Fulbright program, it definitely helped that I had this background in
mhm,
teaching pedagogy.
mhm,
So it may require taking extra tests
mhm,
or really, talking to the school you're interested in teaching at
mhm,
about what they're looking for.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, but I just know from state to state, it's a little bit different. So if you're a Czech student studying in Virginia, but you want to move to California, you
mhm.
definitely would have to look at the requirements for California.
That's very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, the last component of any elementary education major is you're going to be in the classroom getting real field-based experiences.
Mhm,
And so there's practicum and there's student teaching.
mhm,
Practicum is kind of your introduction to the classroom. You're assisting a teacher, you're observing, you might be teaching some lessons. And then student teaching is like full on. You're in it, you're leading the classroom, you're ready to go. And you'll get both of those experiences, and you'll get to use your knowledge from your classes and mentorship and all of those things to help you feel prepared for that. Last kind of component of this slide is I included some of the requirements
mhm,
for an elementary education major at my university.
mhm,
And you can see there's a lot of different subjects within the major.
mhm,
So critical thinking, human communication, writing, visual and performing arts, literature. There's all these different big topics, and then you have some choice within each of those big topics about what classes you want to take.
mhm,
So there is some choice and some agency, and I was able to select classes that I thought were really interesting.
mhm,
And most liberal arts universities have that same kind of structure.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah. So yeah, my next kind of part to this is what universities and colleges offer elementary education majors.
mhm,
So, of course, I spoke about James Madison University, but there are hundreds of universities and colleges in the US, and most of them do offer a 4-year elementary education major
mhm,
because we need teachers everywhere.
mhm,
So, some have a 5-year program, which is what I did. But the US is starting to get rid of those 5-year programs and make them 4-year,
mhm,
just so that we get more teachers out there and into the profession. So you would likely be able to get your licensure in 4 years. And I've included some of the top ranked schools in the US if you are interested. So I listed those. But I also recommend that students do their own research too about specific programs because there are wonderful schools that are not on this list. And so this is just kind of a starting place for you.
And so you mentioned that you studied for 5 years and that gave you your master's degree. Is that correct?
Yes.
But for the 4 years, it's only bachelor degree, right?
Correct.
Okay. Why do you think that they're kind of letting go of that 5-year program that gives you master's right away? Because that's so convenient, you know?
Definitely. That was one of the reasons I went to James Madison University was because of that 5-year model. I loved that I could get my Master's of Arts in Teaching in 5 years and then get out into the classroom. But they have changed things for multiple reasons. But one of the main ones is that we have a nationwide teaching shortage in the US. There are a lot of communities and towns and cities who just don't have enough teachers. So this was an effort to get more people licensed and in the classroom quicker. And so that was one of the reasons. And so I was the last class at JMU that had the option to do a Master's of Arts in Teaching, an MAT. Everyone else after me was doing a 4-year Bachelor's of Science in elementary ed. So you get a BS degree, not an MAT. And there is a difference there with how much you're paid and also, the qualification of having a master's is higher than a BS. So those are some of the reasons.
And so does the MAT degree still exist anywhere or did it just disappear completely?
It does not exist in the state of Virginia anymore, but I do not know about other states. Because each state is different and they're kind of figuring this out right now in real time because this is such a continued challenge that we have.
But it's great that it only takes a bachelor degree for you to be able to go and really teach and spend time with the students and change their lives. So amazing, great. Thank you. Did you only apply to JMU or did you apply to other schools as well?
Yeah, I applied to 3 other schools. 2 of them were in Virginia and 1 was not. And I was really looking at I knew I wanted to teach. So I was looking specifically at education programs. And my university actually originated in 1908 as an all-women's teaching college. And I loved that history and I loved that the university began with teaching and then built from there. And so that's kind of why I chose JMU. But the other universities I looked at also had programs, but some didn't have as extensive of a Department of Education as others. So it really depends on the university and what their emphasis is. Some universities specialize in technology, mathematics, and things of that nature, and others are more of a humanities focus, social sciences. So again, that's just something to look out for when you're applying to a university is what are they known for? What is the money going towards? What's the funding going towards? So those were some of the things that I considered.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. This next part is what would I do with an elementary education major? So sometimes students find it very overwhelming. Once they have their degree, they don't exactly know where to go next with it. But the beauty of being an elementary education major is you're going straight into teaching. So once you have that major, you can teach pre-K through 6th grade at most public, private, or charter schools
Mm-hmm.
in your state. And then, of course, in other states too, if you transfer over.
Mm-hmm.
You can also tutor students in elementary grades because you now have all that knowledge of the different subject areas.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you decide you want to teach at the high school or college level, you would have to likely go back and get another degree for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because high school is much more specialized in your discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something to note, is that if you're an elementary ed major, it's probably not going to transfer for you to teach older students.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last part is that you could then apply to graduate studies. So elementary education majors sometimes go into education policy or administration and leadership and kind of other specialized fields within education. So those are kind of some of the pathways.
My question to you, Jesse, would be, because you said that you were the last year who would be able to do the MAT.
Mm-hmm.
How would you do it now? Like, would you just study 4 years for your BS and then go for your master's, which would take how long? Or what's the journey now for students who apply for elementary education major?
Yeah, so what my friends now are doing who are receiving the elementary ed major
Mm-hmm.
is they're starting to teach
Mm-hmm.
with the intention of then going back and getting their master's after a few years.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And typically the master's is now 2 years instead
Mm-hmm.
of one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still possible to get the master's in education, but it's kind of a longer pathway.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna start teaching and then they'll likely go back for that.
Okay. Are you planning to go back as well for your PhD maybe, or not?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm open to a lot of different things. I really enjoyed being a student.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I find a specific field that I really want to pursue, then I totally would. I'm very interested in TESOL now, teaching
Mm-hmm.
English as a second language.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I don't know.
TESOL also opens door to, various countries, and
Yes.
everybody learns and studies English, and people need teachers. So, now this open door to the Czech Republic for you, and you teach English here in Chomutov, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think that it would be interesting for Czech students to go to the US, study elementary education, and teach in the US, because still for us it's another language, English.
Yeah.
So I think that we can understand very well how difficult it is to like study English and then to teach it. So that, yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I included on this last side just some general tips. I was a tour guide for 4 years of college, and so these are some of the things that I learned from that experience that I would love to share with students. The first thing is that universities and colleges in the US have tuition, and the tuition costs differ significantly based on the university that you are at. Some universities and colleges have scholarships for international students and scholarships for many different kinds of students. So that's just something to consider if you don't have a scholarship already to study in the US. And then also class size and just the size of the school in general is something really important to consider. I included a picture on the top of the football stadium at JMU to give you an idea of the size of my university. So if that looks overwhelming or scary to you at all, then maybe you want to go to a smaller school. But I loved it. And yeah, just kind of think about what you want out of your college experience. So for me, I wanted school spirit. I wanted energy. I wanted community. I wanted lots of different things going on that I could join in. So that's what I was looking for. And then if you're interested in a school, I recommend emailing professors in the department and introducing yourself, which sounds really scary, but it goes a really long way because professors want to see students who are motivated and interested and eager to learn more. And it will go a long, long way. And then the last thing is just talk with people who are studying elementary education at the university you're interested in and ask them questions and hear from their perspective, because I only gave kind of a broad overview, but students who are in the program at the school you are interested in will be able to tell you so much more.
And Jessie, so did you do anything special during your high school studies to kind of boost your application? Because you said that you knew you wanted to do elementary education. So what did you do during your high school studies to kind of show that interest?
Yeah. My applications to college were really focused on my experiences working with children. So there's a writing portion of the college application, and I made sure that I included stories and experiences with students where I overcame a challenge or I problem solved something. And I made sure to really focus on the extracurricular activities and the things that I did that had to do with working with kids. And I included when I coached kindergarten soccer and when I was a camp counselor and when I babysat and when I did all of these different activities. And so I think that helped my application. Typically, universities look mainly at your grade point average first and foremost. So how well you did in your classes in high school. And then they look at your test scores if they accept SAT or ACT, and then they will look at those extracurriculars and those things you did outside of the classroom.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much. This is not something like, you guys who are listening and who are interested. I know that some of you are like, we don't take any AP classes or we don't do this and that. Like, this is something you can do. You can babysit your neighbor's kids. You can babysit your siblings. You can definitely help out on a summer camp and so forth. So you see that it is possible. Just you studied at JMU, she had a wonderful time. So we are here to encourage you. And if you are interested in JMU, look at those purple colors, it looks
amazing. I know, purple and gold.
I am happy to connect you with Jessie. She's here this school year. So if you have any questions about how it was, how was her practicum and so forth, how is it education-wise in Virginia, I'm happy to connect you with Jessie. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you all so much. I'm here if you have any questions moving forward.
Perfect. So on the last slide, we do have my email address. So if you have any follow-up questions, you can definitely send them to me to advisor@fulbright.cz or through our social media with the handle EducationUSA Czech, and I'm happy to get back to you or connect you with people who can help you answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Jessie, for walking us through elementary education major, and see you soon.
Thank you.